Hello everyone, today I'm checking out the Chatreey AN3P Mini PC, a compact but surprisingly powerful little system built around the AMD Ryzen 7 7735HS. This features the Radeon 680M integrated graphics. Now even though the CPU has been around for a couple of years, it still holds its own really well. You can comfortably play games like GTA V, Fortnite and Apex Legends, and it also does great with console emulation, so think PS1, PS2 and GameCube titles. So on the front, you've got a Type-C port, but this is only USB 3, so it doesn't support Thunderbolt or USB 4.0. However, it does still support display out. You've also got an additional 2 USB 3.0 ports, then you've got an aux port, and then you've got the power button. On the rear, you've got an additional 4 USB ports. You've got a 2.5 gigabit Realtek Ethernet port, display port out, HDMI out, and then you've got the barrel adapter. You've also got ventilation on the rear and then more ventilation on the left and right side. One feature that I really like about this is this over here. So this hello artwork that you're seeing is actually customizable. It's just a piece of card. Took a while, but as you can see here, this actually slides out and then you can just throw this out and then add your own printout and make sure you cut it to dimension, and then you can just slide that in and it looks really nice. You can maybe add your photo or your own brand if you're buying this as a business PC, or just any fancy artwork, your favorite anime character. It's a small touch, but it makes it feel really personal. The cover that you have on it is plastic, it's clear plastic, so you do want to make sure you don't scratch it. If you are looking to buy this, there will be an affiliate link down below. Clicking on that, even if you end up buying something else, tremendously helps to support the channel. I did pick this one up from AliExpress. So with all the coupons and sales that they got going on there, it was very cheap. In terms of quality, this thing feels solid. It's definitely not cheap or flimsy. It does use a blower style fan to keep the CPU cool. I picked up the barebone version, which means it comes without RAM or storage. Installing your own is super easy. You do want to remove these 4 screws. You've then got an additional 4 screws here, and then this back plate which acts as a passive heatsink. You do have a thermal pad pre-attached for your NVMe drive, and you don't have a second one, and you don't have any for your RAM either. Inside, what you're seeing is 2 DIMM slots for your DDR5 RAM. It supports up to 48,000 megahertz. And then it's also got 2 additional PCIe Gen 4 lanes for your NVMe drives. You've also got the Wi-Fi card, which you can see there. I believe that's the Realtek one, C9852BE. So for this, I'm going to install 32 gigabytes of DDR5 RAM, 48,000 megahertz. Next, you do want to install your own operating system. This can be Windows, Linux, or SteamOS, whatever you want. The CPU's TDP tops out at 54 watts, which is within spec. Some mini PCs allow for higher limits, but honestly, this one already delivers solid performance without running too hot or loud. Memory runs at 48,000 megahertz, which isn't blazing fast by today's standard, but if you use dual channel RAM, ideally 32 gigabytes or 16 gigabyte minimum, you will see noticeable improvements, especially in gaming and GPU heavy tasks. Under the hood, you've got the Ryzen 7 7735HS. That's 8 cores and 16 threads, and then they turbo boost up to 4.75 gigahertz. It's based on the AMD's Zen 3 Plus architecture, which is essentially a refresh of the Ryzen 7 6800H from back in 2022. It's paired with the Radeon 680M iGPU, which still performs impressively well for a chip of this class. Now for everyday use, this mini PC absolutely flies, whether you're doing office work, web browsing, multitasking, multiple Chrome tabs open, it handles it all without breaking a sweat. You can even stream Netflix or YouTube and then just have that in the background and just keep all your tabs, whether you're working on Excel sheets as well. It's also perfectly capable for content creation, so things like DaVinci Resolve for video editing, and then Shutter Encoder as well for transcoding footage before editing. It can handle all that well. It's not going to be super quick, but even 4K editing, you can go through the timeline and get it done and encode it as well afterwards. And if you're into emulation, you'll have no problems running most systems. So I will be covering PS2 emulation, but this will be in a follow-up video that I'll release later on. So we got over 2,000 on the single core and then over 10,000 on the multi-core for Geekbench 6. So the single core performance is actually pretty impressive, even to today's standard. And then the multi-core as well, it is quite up there. You do have 8 cores, 16 threads. I also ran a GPU benchmark for the using the Vulkan engine, I guess, and you got over 29,000 there. This is a everyday benchmark, but it does really well. For Grand Theft Auto Online, I also played that. This is the enhanced edition, and I set everything to low, minimum, or just good, basically, just medium, normal. Ray tracing was turned off, and then for the first run I also kept off any scaling methods, and we are getting playable frame rates, so around 50 frames per second, 45, and this is on GTA Online. On single player story mode you do get higher frames, so maybe 60 plus for single player, but with online there is just more overheads when it comes to player count. So this is a pretty packed up server with about 29 players. So if you're on a less populated server, you can expect more performance just because there's less players online. Turning on AMD FSR3, turn that to performance mode, and then that can bump up your frames per second, and I didn't really notice any like visible reduction in graphics quality, so yeah, there wasn't much loss there, and then the performance gain was definitely worth it, and it does make the game more enjoyable, just getting closer to that steady 60 frames per second. The last game that I quickly tested is Apex Legends, and everything I'm just setting it to low just to get as much performance out of this as possible. And yet we are getting around 60 frames per second. Sometimes it can dip to around 50 frames per second as well, but again, it is still more than playable. And if you really want that constant 60 frames per second, you can turn on frames per second target, which will just scale down the resolution to maintain a steady 60 frames per second, if that's what you're really after. Yeah, even with this, you're inside a building, there's explosions, grenades going off, fire going off, and we're still getting above 50 frames per second, so it is very playable at 1080p. For gaming, the Radeon 680M still holds its own. With some settings tweaked, I was able to get GTA 5, Apex Legends all running smoothly at 1080p. And you're going to be hitting close to 60 frames per second. And again, adding in more RAM, so 16 gigabytes minimum or 32 gigabytes can actually help increase performance, as it is using your system memory as the video memory. When it comes to noise level, it's actually super quiet if you're just idling or if you're just browsing the web, not doing any like heavy CPU or GPU intensive workloads. It's just dead silent. You don't actually hear anything. When you put the system on the load, then the fan does start to kick up, but it's not as loud as I would say laptops. It does have a blower style fan, but it is still very quiet. So when you're doing Windows updates or downloading large files or whatever, anything that just increases the CPU or GPU utilization, then the fan actually kicks in. Well, you can hear it, but if you're watching a YouTube video, listening to some music or whatever, you're not really going to hear it, and it's not as loud and high pitched as you might find on some laptops. This does have a TDP of 54 watts, so it's not like tremendously high. It doesn't have like a dedicated GPU or anything, so it's nowhere near as loud as some gaming laptops might be. For me, just keeping it plugged in there, it is just dead silent, and unless I'm doing something that's going to really just draw in that heat, draw in that power, you're not really going to be able to tell that it's even there. Now here's the best part, the value. Because it's running the 7735HS and the 680M iGPU, the Chatreey AN3P is often available on sale and considerably less than the newer Ryzen CPUs. So I'm just talking about the Ryzen AI and then the Ryzen 8000 or the H255. Especially if you grab the bare bone version and install your own RAM, SSD and operating system. You're getting a clean, compact system that looks great on your desk, runs quietly, and has plenty of ports for your peripherals and devices. So if you're looking for a small PC that can handle casual gaming, emulation, light video editing, and everyday productivity, this is a fantastic option. The CPU still packs a serious punch for modern workloads, and the integrated GPU gives you enough performance for the fun side of things. I will have affiliate links down below, and clicking on those, even if you end up buying something else, tremendously helps to support this channel. Overall, the Chatreey AN3P is a well-built, capable mini PC that punches way above its weight. Just look at the size of this thing. It's customizable, runs cool and quiet, and offers excellent performance for its size and price. So whether you're a student, a casual gamer, or someone just looking for a stylish mini desktop for everyday use, this one is definitely worth looking at, especially at the price it's available